Hi, everyone out there in this wide world. And let me tell you something, we've got a VIP guest. That's right, Kurt Reil from the Gripweeds. Now, not only that, we got Daniel Coston, rock photographer, rock producer, and the very level headed guy he is, and we love him. And Kurt, we just want to introduce you to the show, and we just want to hear about your fantastic new album that's going to be released on the 27th of June called Soul Bender. How are you today?
Doing great, Plastic. Doing great.
Tell us about this fantastic album.
Well, it's done. It took a long time to get it done. We are a self-contained group here, so this is our studio behind me.
Yes, great.
And yeah, so when we're not recording the record, like playing the instruments, I'm recording, and then I'm mixing, and then I'm mastering. And I love doing all those things, but they're time consuming.
Yeah.
And there's really nobody that you can point any fingers at when the album is over except us, so that's why we really strive to make it as good as we possibly can, and which takes some time, but that doesn't matter because the album is done now. It's here.
12 songs on Gem Records. Now tell me this. With the recording process and what you do, I know you love doing it, but let me tell you, the Gripweeds have got a huge following now around the world, and you've got to be wrapped where you are because you're obviously enjoying your musical journey with the band.
Yeah, love it. I mean, everything that's happened up till now has made us who we are, and I'm really ready to go on and do a lot of support for this album if we can. And it's so great because when you make an album, it starts with the song. And so I'll write, half the album, say, and I start them out actually I'll probably start them in my head while I'm running, jogging. And then I come home, put it into a phone.
Yeah.
And then it goes from the phone to the guitar. It translates to that. Then it goes from the guitar to a demo where we start putting on instruments and stuff. Then hopefully it's good enough at that point. I've done lyrics. Then it goes to the band. And then the band starts adding, guitars and keyboards and vocals, and it goes through all of that. And then we get it finally done, and then we go, well, we got to play this live now. So now we got to boil all of that we just did down to bass, drums, 2 guitars, and a keyboard sometimes, and 3 or 4 vocals. So that's like another translation going live. So now we've taken half the album and are doing that. And now it's like the songs are on their next journey of life, and they go through to the shows, and and we play them in. The songs get played in now. So now we're starting to get comfortable. We've done about, I don't know, half a dozen shows with some of these new songs. So it's just interesting to me. You start with nothing, or like just one little idea here, and it goes out. It's so cool.
I get some songs coming when I'm driving the car. No big deal, but you're going to really love this, all right? I had a shower, and while I'm having a shower, a song comes to me, and I call out my wife and I said, write down the words, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
Another time I'm in the bathtub, just lying back, just relax. And then these words come in my head, hey, bananas, we think you're groovy. And then I start singing, hey, bananas, we think you're groovy, right? Now that can prove 2 things. You can write a song anywhere, and you can stay clean in the meantime.
And it proves one more thing. The acoustics in the bathroom are amazing. The voice sounds great in the bathroom. All that echo.
Kurt, this is really fun. I'm great to finally see you again after all these years.
Yeah, you too.
And I want to ask, has the writing process or writing and recording process changed for you guys through the years? I mean, obviously technology, like you just spoke of, makes things up to record a lot easier. But have you found that you guys write differently now as opposed to those first couple records that you guys put together?
Well, yeah, I think first of all, every song is probably different. But if you look at a group of songs in a time period that you write and an album, I think in the early days we were a bit more scared. Oh, is this any good? Did we do it right? All that kind of stuff. So there's always this looking over your shoulder that we used to go through of, is this measuring up? And then at some point you kind of go, I don't care if it measures up. I know it's good. You start getting a confidence level in your own writing. And also, like, if it's not good, then you have another song that you've written to kind of go, all right, well, if you don't like that one, well, let's try this one. And I just feel like I've gotten more of a confidence and more of a sense of what can work. And also more, I think we're getting much more adventurous, both writing and in the studio, and much less rules driven, more like what can we do, not what we can't do. It's all about what we can do, and where can we take the song from here to really blow some people's minds or souls.
You know what you say there means a lot, because it's exactly how I think and how I talk to people. And I tell them, if you do the creative process for new people starting out, right? The first thing that comes to their head is, can I write a song? So they question that until they do a song. Then when they do a song, then they question themselves, is it good enough? Are they going to like it, the public? Well, that's all wrong. It should be, I'm doing a song, I like it. There's no negative coming in front of my mind to stop the creative process. Once you get out of all that and you go, I'm doing it, and it's good enough for me, it's good enough for the world, then you realize that it's just creative. Because the great thing about me is everything I do is creative. I'll give you an example. My wife, she plays drums in the band. And I don't know if you've heard this story. I got married to her and I said, listen, Vicky, her relatives didn't understand that I'm into music and I've been writing songs and I've been in 2 bands, Plastic EP and the records. And then a year later, we became the EPs. Okay, I said, listen, I need a drummer. I said, I don't need someone technical, like, someone great. I just need you to go a few drum lessons, play drums. When we need you, just do what you can. And I said, if people look at me at the front singing and they don't like me, that's okay. They can look at you. Like, I don't care. Anyway, the story is, and this is true, it's gone on for years and years and years. This is why I like talking to you as a musician to musician. My wife can sing. In her mind, I can't sing. She can sing. Believe me, she can sing. And what happens is she's famous for different things. She does housework in the laundry and I'll go, Vicky, can you come here? And she'll look at me like, what for? I go, what do you mean, what for? I need you to sing on a song. Right? And then when she comes, I don't let her hear the song. I just say, I need you to do this.
Kristen all the time.
No, I need you to do this, this, and this. And then she does it so you can go back to her housework.
Yeah.
And then she'll go do the dishes, and an hour later I'll go, Vicky, and she'll go, what again? Go, what do you think again? I need you to sing on another song. And this went on for years and years and years and years. And the thing is, we were married, right? We've been married nearly 40 years this year. But for 25 years, I never told anybody she was in the band. I never told anyone, and I'll tell you why. Because it didn't come to me till 25 years later. I had the John Lennon syndrome. I didn't want anyone to know I'm married. Because someone saw a video of me and Vicky in a video, and I'm wearing the gold suit, and she's drumming, and they go, Plastic EP seems to be close to Vicky. Well, of course, because we're married. But you don't know that. But the joke was, we'd be writing songs upstairs with Wally, and every time I needed a coffee for 25 years, I'd go, Mr. Plastic EP wants a coffee and a tea for Wally. Can Mrs. Plastic EP make it? And we'd kill ourselves laughing because we'd call her Mrs. Plastic EP and no one knew. And that's what it was. You can't beat anything that's spontaneous. You know that.
It's true. But there's a thing about all of it. Like, first of all, you have to develop a thick skin if you're playing live. You're out there to be judged. Your music is going to be ripped apart or it's going to be embraced. Yeah. And you really don't have any control over that. But what you do have control over is the record and how it goes out to the audience. So one thing I really like to do after we go through and do our creative number and, really get into it and do everything we want to do, I like to sit somebody down in the studio, like right over there on the couch where the dog is right now. There's a studio dog.
He's asleep.
I like to sit somebody down, and somebody who's never heard a note of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't know it. Usually it's probably one of my clients, usually like a studio person I'm working with in the studio. I say, hey, listen to this. So I play them the track and I watch them. I just sit there and I watch what's their reaction. How are they absorbing this music? And if I see them check out, if I see them like lose interest, and you can see it usually. If you see them like fidget or lose it, you're like, I don't have it. What can I do? I want to make sure that this catches everybody. Now I know the song, I'm real close to it, but I don't have that perspective of that person who just walked in totally cold. And that perspective to me is the most valuable to get. And that's what I chase to make the record better.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is they all got different tastes. You don't have the guy likes Mozart and doesn't give a crap about rock.
Yeah, I mean, I might just tell them, well, you don't know what you're talking about. We're not changing it. I'm looking for that feedback that's kind of honest, and that to me is really valuable.
You've been in this band with your brother all these years, harmonies, and also just you guys learned to play music together. Talk about being in a band with your brother all these years.
It's hard to talk about it because that's all I've known. Although I have done lots of other projects over the years where we're not working together. So when we are in the band together, I can say that there's a shorthand and a telepathy that we have because we have the same background and we have a lot of shared musical influences and things that we like. So there's lots of things that we can kind of go, yeah, that old song, blah, 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 that we remember from, being in grade school or something. Yeah. So that's very handy. It comes in handy. Sometimes I'll write a song and I'll be like, I'm going to play the guitar just like Rick so that when I give it to him, he'll play it just like this. So I do it. I make my demo. I'm pretending I'm Rick. I give him the track and he plays it completely different. I'm like, wow, how did I miss that one? So sometimes it's funny. Like I think we're getting better at working together. Because in the early days, I think I was, and he was, I can't speak for him, but I would say he was a bit less tactful with me. And I was definitely less tactful with him and less concerned about, his state of mind or what he thought. Like if I smashed him or if I bashed him with a comment, it's a little not caring when you do that. And, maybe you'll get some kind of reaction that you don't want. So I kind of try to work with him, and not piss him off because I know it'll piss him off. So I try to get the positive reaction wherever I can. And I think that's the case too with Kristen, because Kristen and I are married. Yeah. And it's that.
Yeah, but so you got a brother and you got your wife in the band. Is anyone else related?
The double whammy.
Yeah, you can't beat that. You just can't beat that. Anyway, I've got to say something. I've got to congratulate you guys on something. I saw your version of Lies, Rob, at the Knickerbockers. And what you don't know is Daniel and I actually interviewed Bo from the Knickerbockers.
Oh, yeah?
And I want to play your song now, your version of the Knickerbockers.
Hey, rock and rollers, here's a new song that's climbing up the charts, and that's no lie. And here to sing it for you are the Gripweeds with Lies!
Lies, lies, you're telling me that you'll be true. Lies, lies, that's all I ever hear from you. Tears, tears, I shed a million tears for you. Someone new. Someday I'm gonna be happy, but I don't know
first band I ever saw someone play I Can Hear the Grass Grow live. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the move, especially that first lineup move. And I'd never heard anybody play it live until I heard you guys play it in Winston-Salem. Are there certain songs or certain bands that are touchstones for you guys? You go back and go, okay, there's still something in the move or Buffalo Springfield or Pretty Things that's where we're trying to get back to. That still means something to us.
Oh, totally. We formed kind of around the idea that we were going to be the modern day version of those bands, like the Move and the Hollies and the Byrds and the Zombies and the Beatles. If everybody wants to be a Beatle, the Who, it was all in there. The Beau Brummels, the Smithereens, for a modern day example of a band very much an influence for us, and good friends too. And I worked with them all, and I produced them actually, which was great. But getting back to stuff like the Move, that stuff is just always flowing through us, and it's still music that I always go back to. The Beach Boys would be another band that I've, been hugely influenced by for a long period of time. So that stuff always creeps into, our music and all the harmonies and things. And we actually have a new song on the album called Gene Clark, parenthesis, Broken Wing. And I wrote that song. And when I initially wrote it, it wasn't called Gene Clark. It was just a song. And when I wrote it, I just felt like, wow, that I'm channeling Gene Clark somehow, something that he would have written, or at least I think that's what he would have written. And so I just called it Gene Clark, and I realized the Teenage Fan Club had a song called Gene Clark. So now we're not going to call it Gene Clark. We'll call it Gene Clark Broken Wing, because the chorus is broken wing, flying with a broken wing. And we hit on that because we were Kristen and I were riding in the car, and we're trying to write a chorus to this Gene Clark song that didn't have a chorus. And we all of a sudden we stumbled on Flying with a Broken Wing. And it's my favorite part in the song now, but I realized like that Gene Clark was the bird who couldn't fly, so it felt really right. So that's just an example. Actually, in the recording of that song, which is on this new album, we did some backwards 12 strings and stuff, and because it needed it, And so all of these bands do live within me, but they also live within the soul of the Gripweeds. Is definitely from, or it sprang from that. But we always felt, and the mission statement when we formed was, okay, we're going to play I Can Hear the Grass Grow and Fire Brigade and stuff like that, some really rare, obscure 60s stuff. But the hope was we're going to write songs that are our own, and maybe they'll have a some kind of spiritual tie to all this music, and we'll move forward with our thing. And that's really what happened.
Now, Kurt, for every Gripweed fan out there, and there's plenty of them, right? What song, with the sound of either the 60s or psychedelia, or whichever, do you think defines the band right up until this point in your career?
I think that the song Vibrations is probably a song that really catches us. It's got the pop songwriting element. By the way, it's kind of hard to talk about that because I wrote it. But my perspective on it is that it's got our sort of stamp all over it. It's kind of a powerful backing, pop sort of writing, and the vocals, the 3-part harmonies all the way through, or not all the way through, but close. So to me, that I'm very proud of that song and what we achieved with it. It just slams.
Sunny day, I can hear the grass growing when you play. It's all
you guys also would cover songs, but you made them your own, and also very much akin to the Move. You listen to the Move play Stephanie Knows Who, and it's like, yeah, it's a love song, but the Move made it theirs. What I always liked about you guys is you made or covers. You guys made them your own, but then the originals that you wrote and were singing were the extension of that. So that's one of the things I always really like the most about your band.
Yeah, well, that pretty much describes the very last album we recorded, which was called Dig. And that was exactly what we set out to do. In fact, we recorded one cover song pretty early on called She Don't Care About Time. We sort of stayed pretty close to the original. And when we finished it up, we were kind of like, well, it's nice, but it's a little too close. It may as well be the Byrds. And then we kind of decided right then and there, if we're going to do another cover, which we didn't know how many we were going to do, because that was back in the late 90s that we recorded it. But if we're ever going to do a cover, we're going to put our own stamp to it and make it an experience that merits someone listening to this alternate version. Why would anybody listen to another version unless there's something new or something else that the song can give you? And we even started choosing songs that we were looking for somewhere else in the song that they hadn't gone, like production wise or whatever. We would specifically pick songs that maybe were underproduced or we could put our own stamp on and put into overdrive, and really blow up the sound. So we've always looked to do that, that was pretty much the mission statement of the Dig album. Exactly to do that, or take a song and stretch it and try it in a different way entirely. It's Child of the Moon is one of those off Dig, where it's the song, but it's an acoustic kind of more gentle version of it somehow, which we had always done acoustically. We actually never played that song electrically, so it felt right for us to do it acoustically.
Well, tell me about some of your favorite folks that you've either played live with or recorded with. I know that you did record a song with George Cameron of the Left Bank for your Christmas album, and yeah. God bless George, I miss him. Tell me about some of the favorite folks that you've gotten to work with through the years.
Oh, we've been lucky with a few. Definitely Mark Lindsay from Paul Revere and the Raiders. I had such a relationship with him. He came into the studio. Well, what would happen was we got to know each other through me being a drummer for him for a few gigs. And we really connected. And we asked him for the Christmas album to sing one of our songs. And he said, yeah, it'd be great. He came in and we just started after that. He was like, I really like this. And I think he liked working with me. We started working together, and we did a project of his, a whole album, then another one. And we really sort of bonded in the studio. And it was to the point where he started to open up about how they made those Paul Revere and the Raiders records at CBS Studios in LA in the 60s. And he started giving me all his secrets. And I was just soaking it all up. And the very next record the Gripweeds did, we're like, oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. And let's put that effect on the vocals just like they did. So that was really tremendous. Working with Mark Lindsay, both live and in the studio, was really great. And we are great friends to this day. I also worked with the Smithereens, who had a huge impact on me. Each member kind of, I learned something from each one, and hopefully I helped them, as a return for their knowledge. I've been a friend of Jim Babjack, the guitar players, for many, many years. In fact, he helped me put together the early version of the Gripweeds. And so working with Jim, he's such a great guitar player, and he has such a style. He sort of unlocked how to get that great big guitar sound, because he had done that so well. And then Pat Denizio comes in, Pat, the leader of the band and the singer. And he had a whole other sort of approach, because he was sort of the head honcho of the Smithereens in the studio and live, because he wrote the songs. So he brought to me really just the whole sort of approach to getting your song to work on record, and also that idea of don't be self-indulgent too much. Think about how this is going to work on radio and how that other person's going to absorb it. You got to make that no barriers. You don't want anything that's too, hard to absorb. Things like that. Mike Mazzaros on bass was the wildest player I've ever been next to in the studio. The way he played bass and attacked it, I'd never seen anybody do it. It's like a wild animal. But the guy was so great and volatile, but great. Dennis Dykin, great steady drummer. I would love to be as perfect a timekeeper as him. And he's a great guy. So those two, I would say, are the most important. I've worked with a number of other people, and I don't want to disrespect anyone, because everybody I work with, there's a give and take, and there's a friendship and a bond. But those two are probably the most famous.
Did you work with any of the Monkees?
Well, not on record, but we worked with Mickey Dolenz live, and that was an eye opener. That was really a neat kind of experience, because we were backing Mark, and then Mickey came on stage, and so before that happened, we were on this cruise, and before we were going on stage, I was the musical director for Mark's show, of which the Gripweeds were the backing band. So I go up to Mickey Dolenz. I'm like, Mickey, you're going to come on stage, and we're going to back you on I'm Not Your Stepping Stone. So how's it going to end up? How's this work? And he goes, oh, well, I come on, and, Mark and I trade off, and then BS at the end, and then we end it. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So then after that broke the ice. I started going, so Mickey, how did you get that weird drum setup? What's with that? He told me all about it. And it was pretty involved story. And then we go over to the bar, and he's having some drinks, and I had a drink. And he starts talking about astronomy, because Mickey is this huge astronomy guy. He knows a lot. Mickey knows a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so he starts telling us all about the cosmos. And he says something like, I'm not sure what star cluster it is, or what star solar system it is. Alpha Centauri, I think he was talking about. And he says Alpha Centauri is the biggest star in the galaxy. And I don't know whatever possessed me, but I said to him, but Mickey, I thought Davy Jones was the biggest star in the galaxy. There's a second where it's real quiet, and he looks at me.
And let me say, it's just fantastic, the music you're putting out, the good times you're having, and the way you're making the world happy. And let them go out there and get your new album on the 27th of this month.
Soul Bender.
And not only
it's fun to say.
Hey?
It's fun to say. Soul Bender.
Now listen, Soul Bender. It's 12 songs, right, on Gem Records. I want you to tell everyone where they can find your music and your website and everything now. Just tell everybody where they find the Gripweeds for all the new fans.
Well, very simple. Very simply, gripweeds.com, and go to our online store, and you can get the album. You can get a deluxe edition of the album. We slaved over this thing. We have a deluxe, a bonus disc on that deluxe edition. And it's the backing. It's like all the instrumental versions, demos. We cut, as we were rehearsing for our live shows, we ran tape in the studio and did live versions of all these songs, like 7 of the songs on the album. And so there's a bunch of live versions. And so we're really happy about that. But mostly we're happy about this new album and the 12 songs. So you can find it at a record store. And I think Gem Records would really be happy if you ordered it from your local record store. But go to gripweeds.com.
Do you guys have plans to play live in the near future?
Yeah, we just got through with about half a dozen shows. And we're going to get back out there. I'm not sure how and exactly when. But some stuff is coming at the end of the summer again.
And is it still a buzz to play live? Especially playing new songs live? Yeah.
Very much, actually, because we had been playing the same sort of versions of the set for a while. And while that becomes very... there's a certain power you get from playing the same songs, like, repeatedly. and you get into a real groove, and you become a freight train, like you become unstoppable, and you go from one song into the next, and it's really great when you get there. But it's also extremely gratifying to play new songs and shake up that set list every now and then. And that's what we've just been doing. And the reaction we've gotten to songs like Soul Bender and Spinning the Wheel and Flowers for Cynthia, Conquer and Divide, Fragmented, those are a bunch we've been playing live. And the response has been amazing, unexpected for us, where, you know, we get a really great crowd response from these songs that people have not heard because the album has not even been released. And to get that kind of response is, you know, kind of bodes well for the future for us. I think that they're going to really like the album.
Just want to say thank you, Kurt, for being on the show. Keep watching Plastic EP live TV because, believe me, we got the greatest guests. Thank you, everyone.
You do. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Without going out of my door, I can know all things on earth. Without looking out of your window, I can know the ways of heaven. The farther one travels, the less one knows. One really knows. Without going out of your door, you can know all things on earth. Without looking out of your window, you can know